Baldwin, and he's given us some information in reference to religion and global terrorism. And over the last couple of segments, he's laid out a fairly good foundation in reference to what must be done. Dr. Baldwin, let's pick up where we left off and to give you an opportunity during this last few minutes that we have to talk about religion and some of the solutions that we might be able to find in reference to dealing with some of the problems you've outlined.
One of the great disappointments that I have, of course, is that you have major conglomerations of Christians, the mega church phenomenon. The mega churches now constitute the face of religion in America, and they have global connections, they have personnel, they have resources, but they have done so little in terms of coming up with strategies for dealing with global terrorism. You don't hear mega preachers talking about how Islam is being distorted and put to the service of violence and intimidation and fear. And I think if we're going to come up with a solution to the problem of global terrorism, all religions must get involved, particularly Christianity, because Christianity is a worldwide religion. And as you well know, most of the victims who are being beheaded in Iraq and Syria and other parts of the world, Yemen, parts of Africa, are Christians. They're being beheaded. And unfortunately, Christians around the world have not responded in an appropriate fashion.
That's one of the curious kind of things.
Exactly.
Because you would, especially what happened not recently
in Kenya.
You would expect the church to have said something about that, and especially when you recognize how many Catholics there are on the continent of Africa.
Oh, absolutely.
You see, and so it's almost as if they don't exist.
Right, millions of Catholics, and we know that Protestantism is one of the fastest growing faith traditions on the continent of Africa. And all of these, in Asia as well, and on these continents, Africa, Asia, all of these people are being murdered, many beheaded, shot, that kind of thing. But yes, but you don't hear Christians saying much, let alone coming up with strategies for stemming the tide of global terrorism. And I think if it's going to be ended, global terrorism, Christians around the world will need to get involved. And as I said earlier, it's not through violence or military means, but they got to get involved on the level of ideals and on the level of values. And I think interfaith dialogue that's going on in this country, for an example, between Christians and Muslims and Buddhists and Jews and Hindus and other peoples of other faiths, secularists, atheists, agnostics. I think there's a place for all of these representatives of different faith traditions in this effort to what? To stem the tide of global terrorism and to come up with strategies for ending it once and for all, and we have not seen that.
Do you think that many churches, and I think this was one of the things I thought of when I thought of what went on in Kenya.
Yeah.
Do you think that many churches have, in a real sense, been intimidated, believing that if they say something, for example, no matter how strong they might be in terms of their numbers in some of these areas in Africa, that if they speak out, that they will draw attention to themselves?
And
now how does that fit within the Christian struggle and the Christian doctrine, though?
Well, you know, it doesn't fit at all, because when you look at the Christian doctrine, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had a lot to say about this. You got to be a transformed nonconformist. You got to be a maladjusted personality. You got to be willing to do what? To speak prophetically to evil, no matter where it exists. And I think that's the failure. We've failed to speak prophetically to evil, let alone address it in any way. And so what we see with Christianity around the world is not consistent with the ethic of Jesus. Because Jesus died on the cross, he suffered for righteousness and justice. And I think that means that we, those of us who claim to be Christians, need to do the same thing. And there's a failure of that on a global scale, particularly with the mega churches, because they define pretty much what Christianity is about in the West, and particularly in America. They have resources, they have personnel, they have global connection.
In other words, we talk about global terrorism.